Belfast. Nice to be here. Well, hello, I'm David Coburn, proud British unionist, staunch Eurosceptic, and MEP for Scotland, and leader of UKIP in Scotland. Well, this week it became clear to everyone the Conservative Party is no longer the party of the Union. UKIP is the only party that will fight for the Union. Northern Ireland must leave the EU under the same terms as the rest of the UK. It cannot ask for membership of the EU single market on its own, and neither can Scotland. What happened last week was a disgrace. The Conservative government should not allow any difference between Northern Ireland and the rest of the UK regarding Brexit. Furthermore, the Irish Republic should not use Brexit to achieve its fantasy of a united Ireland. Nevertheless, I believe a free trade border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland should be possible with goodwill on all sides. We've always done things a little bit differently, and that's because there are special circumstances. And a lot of people have Irish grannies over the other side of the water. We always had a special relationship. So I'm sure it can be fixed. And it's not for the European Union to stick its nose in to British-Irish relations. The EU, in league with the Irish Republic, are acting contrary to UN resolution, get this right, 25/2625, which states that, quote, no state may use or encourage the use of economic, political, or any other type of measures to coerce another state in order to obtain from it the subordination of the exercise of its sovereign rights and to secure from it advantages of any kind. Now that's the UN, and I think that that's pretty clear. So I think the Irish Republic are getting a bit out of hand with this, and they should stop it now. Scotland and the European Union. Scotland and Northern Ireland have something, and we discussed this before, that England does not have: proportional representation. In Scotland, within 4 years, we will have a PR election in Holyrood. This means UKIP in Scotland and Northern Ireland have a chance of getting people elected to our respective parliaments, which may be hard to achieve in England because of the first-past-the-post system. Having people in Holyrood will enable us to use that as a trampoline into the House of Commons in the following year, and the same can be said of Northern Ireland. UKIP in Scotland and Northern Ireland need to be the vanguard of UKIP. Lennon's vanguard, ladies and gentlemen. And as a whole, we must start working for this now and not leave it till just before the election. Scotland and Northern Ireland should be working together for our respective elections now, not later. We always leave it far too late in UKIP. This time we're going to do it on time. It is a disgrace that the European Union is using the tragedy of Northern Ireland to blackmail the British government into handing over more money as a Brexit divorce settlement, and this should stop. How would the EU like for the British started to exploit the EU's problems in Catalonia? I haven't done that so far. I have been very careful about that. We don't want to cause trouble, but I'm quite happy to start if that seems to be a problem for them. Jean-Claude Juncker, we had a meeting, he and I were quite chummy actually, oddly enough, you wouldn't believe it, but they are. He's a nice man, personally. He told me personally in a private meeting, a one-to-one, that he no more wanted to balkanise the United Kingdom than he wanted to balkanise Spain or any of the other larger members of the EU. He doesn't want split up of the major countries. He thinks it would be impossible to run Europe if it's a collection of tiny little states. He doesn't want that any more than we do. That's what he said. So there is no reason why Her Majesty's government should not be stirring up problems on the Iberian Peninsula, if necessary, perhaps to expand our British Iberian interests. Could run from Gibraltar via Catalonia to the Basque Country. Now that would upset the European Union and Spain, who seem to be very keen to exploit the situation in Northern Ireland. So I think they should keep their nose out of our business, or we'll start sticking our nose in theirs. And of course it's a scandal the Irish Republic and its politicians should be using Brexit to achieve their goal of a united Ireland. The Irish Republic should not be allowed to forget that Britain bailed them out in their recent financial collapse, and they should be grateful for it and stop using it as a way of causing trouble. And so I think they should remember what Britain's done for them. We are friendly with the Irish Republic. We want to remain friendly with the Irish Republic, but we don't want them interfering in our affairs, and they should respect that. Michael Collins, who you all know, must be turning in his grave at the thought of the Irish Republic, which was long fought for, a lot of sacrifice on their part, being handed over to a greater European, or dare I say it, German Empire, which is what the European Union really is. It's centred, the decisions are not made in Brussels, they're made in Berlin. And, you know, the Irish, you know, they fought for this Irish Republic, but they immediately then handed it over to the European Union. Well, what does that say about Irish freedom? Exactly. And the same is true in Scotland. The Scottish National Party, they want to do the same thing. They don't want Scottish independence. They're not a Scottish independence party. They want to hand Scotland over to Europe. They want our fishing grounds handed over to Europe. They want our oil handed over to Europe. And they want the European currency. Well, no thank you, Mrs. Sturgeon. We do not want that. We want our own country, and we want it part of the United Kingdom. We want a union of the United Kingdom. That's what we've had for 400 years, and it's been very good. Let's keep it. The Irish Republic, with their recent Euro problems, and the fact that European Bank President Draghi, who I spoke to many times, and with some of the members from the Republic, tried to persuade him to speak before the Irish Parliamentary Economics Committee, which he was too grand to do. Too grand to speak to the Committee of the Sovereign Parliament of the Irish state. I think there's something wrong there. So, you know, why should Britain, why should we not see, perhaps, in the not-too-distant future, the Irish Republic exiting from the European Union? They have a lot more in common with us economically than they do with the EU. And they should really get over some of the problems of history and start being friendly with the people who we have more relations with culturally and in every other way, family and such like. The SNP, as I said, are betraying Scotland by ignoring our Indie Ref, which Scots, knowing there would be an EU referendum, voted to remain in the UK. And although Scots, as the people in Northern Ireland, voted to remain in the EU, a substantial majority of nearly 40% did not. And I represent that 40%. But Scotland voted, as did Northern Ireland, as a united kingdom. We didn't vote as Scotland or Northern Ireland on our own. We voted together with all our brethren in the UK, and we knew that when the referendum was called. So there should be no fuss about that now. Furthermore, more Scots voted to remain in the UK than wanted to remain in the EU. People forget that. That decision is made. Sturgeon and her chums and the people of Northern Ireland who are storing up trouble have no right to do so. Decision was made. There it is. There it ends. Sturgeon has no mandate to negotiate any kind of a deal with the EU, and she does not even have the constitutional right as First Minister to do that. She should stick to what she's supposed to be doing. They should be getting on with running Scottish infrastructure, which the SNP have sadly neglected. The SNP have let the Forth Road Bridge practically fall down. They have destroyed one of the finest education systems in the world, as Sinn Féin has here in Northern Ireland. We must stop this nonsense. They should get on with running their constitutional area of government, not sort of sending messages to Fidel Castro and Robert Mugabe and all this sort of stuff. They should stick to what they're supposed to do. Make Northern Ireland work and make Scotland work. Do what they're being paid to do. If the DUP and the other Northern Irish parties will not fight for Northern Ireland as a fully part of the United Kingdom, leaving the EU in the same way as the United Kingdom, UKIP most certainly will. You are the vanguard, as we in Scotland are the vanguard, and we must do our best to win under a PR system. There must be a soft border with the Republic. It is not the place of the European Union bureaucrats to approve or disapprove of Great Britain's sovereign right to leave the EU. Jean-Claude Juncker, President Juncker, is a bureaucrat, but he's paid equally by Britain and the other EU nations. It is simply his job to facilitate our wishes as well as the EU's wishes. It is not his business to pontificate on Britain's decision to go or administer punishment beatings to us for trying to do so. It is his duty to carry out our wishes as effectively as possible. There is nothing in the treaties, nothing whatsoever, about us paying to leave the EU. We should pay absolutely nothing, and the British government should be telling the European Union that. This Conservative government, in its negotiations with the EU, and indeed with most other matters, is one of the worst we have ever had to endure. It's amateur night at the proms. You couldn't have organised a worse deal than they have managed to organise. It's a farce. I now see, as a result of that, a major realignment of politics on the right in the UK. I finally see the Conservative government is no longer fit for purpose. It is no longer the party of the Union. It is no longer the party of decent, hard-working people. It's owned and fully paid for by big business, and that's not good enough. We stand up in UKIP for the little guy, the little woman in their white vans or their small businesses. We don't stand up for massive multinational corporations. That's what the Conservative Party seems to be doing. So I see a realignment, and I see that there's an opportunity for a libertarian free market party like UKIP to fill that vacuum. This is UKIP's opportunity. We've had a couple of bad years, but I see a future for us, and we must seize it. We've had some bad times. We've had the parties diminishing in size. There's nothing wrong with a party being pruned. It's like a rose bush. You prune it properly, it returns, and with more vigour. And that's what I see for us. So we should look at this as an opportunity, not a catastrophe. Similarly in Northern Ireland, there's a vacuum for a non-sectarian, libertarian, free market party like UKIP to represent ordinary, hard-working folk who just want to get on with their lives and not have their pockets picked by rapacious, greedy politicians to squander their hard-earned money on ludicrous schemes or in some religious fantasies that are from the 17th century. We need to make sure that we represent those ordinary people. I think we do. I think we've got a future, and I see today by the people here and the people who are keen to really go for something that other people are not contributing to. The people here want something. They want to rebuild the party. That has made me feel good within myself about the party. We've done it in Scotland. I see you doing it here in Northern Ireland, and I'm going to report that back to Henry Bolton, and I hope we'll all stick behind Henry. Make sure he reforms the party from the top downwards, because we're going to rebuild it from the bottom upwards. So thank you for inviting me, and I hope we'll work closely together for our united kingdom.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.